Tel Avive, busy, bustling metropolis, Israel's commercial and cultural center, a city that truly never stops. Skyscrapers, modern office buildings, but also one building where it all began. Independence Hall. Here is where pivotal events in the life of Tel Aviv and the State of Israel took place. In this very building, the first modern Hebrew city was born. Here is where the independence of the State of Israel was proclaimed to the world. Let's go back to those voices and people, to the beginning of the century. This is the building. We see the people around it in its historic moments. Their faces tell the story. The building was constructed by Meir Dizengoff, who later became Tel Aviv's first mayor. We go back in time in the footsteps of Dizengoff when he made Aliyah from Russia. He arrived in Eretz Israel by the old Arab port of Jaffa. This is how the Olim first saw the shores of the Promised Land. And this is what Meir Dizengoff saw, a crowded Arab town where Jews were a minority, whose dream was to settle the land. Dizengoff, a man of action, worked towards achieving the dream. He wanted to break out of the dirty alleyways and erect a Jewish garden neighborhood outside the Arab town's limits. A suburb, just a suburb. Who thought then of a great city? This is how dreams are made to come true. April 1905, the Hebrew year Tarsat. The founders wrapped on plots for the houses they would build on the sand dunes. Historical photographs immortalize the first day of the Jewish neighborhood, later Tel Aviv. The founders, Avive, Yecheskel Tenin, David Smilansky, Yitzchak Heidman. Only a year later, and building is in full swing. Manual labor, hard, toiling, sweaty labor carried out with joy. These were the forerunners of the skyscrapers which would be built decades later. Dizengoff too builds his house, exactly on the famous dune where the land raffle was held. The style is a blend of east and west. It is positioned between the neighbors' houses, enveloped by gardens, between streets and sidewalks, a total opposite to the city of Jaffa they left behind. The new settlers of Ahuzat Bayit. From the moment the building rush started, it was impossible to stop. Only the best is good enough for the new Hebrew neighborhood, including running water from a central tower. Out of appreciation for his central role in the founding, Dizengoff was chosen in 1911 to be the head of the committee of the neighborhood, that 1 year before it had been named Tel Aviv. Under Dizengoff's management, the first notion of Hebrew-Jewish autonomy in the land of Israel takes shape. In its center, as a symbol of this concept, the first Hebrew school, Gymnasia Herzliya. From the beginning, there's an emphasis on Hebrew education, shaping and forming the youth who in the future will be called upon to build the Hebrew state. Hebrew and classical studies, science, art, gymnastics, preserving the traditions of Israel and its values, old and new, in a smelting furnace. Dizengoff's house occupies a central position in the public life of the neighborhood. Meetings take place, honorable guests and social dignitaries lodge within its walls when they come to see the big wonder, Tel Aviv. But the rhythm of development in Tel Aviv is brutally aborted when the First World War breaks out in 1914. On Israel's soil, the battle between Turkey, the ruling empire, and Great Britain is waged. Meir Dizengoff, the head of the General Crisis Relief Committee, raises funds for basic living needs, caring for the inhabitants who are suffering from hunger, disease, and unemployment. When the British invade from the south of Israel in 1917, the Turkish decide to expel the citizens of Tel Aviv from their houses on the suspicion that they might aid the invaders. Dizengoff now bears the title Head of the Diaspora. British are winning. The Turkish Empire is falling apart. The British become the new rulers of the country. In this way, the British Mandate era is begun. Allenby, the victorious general, appears beside Dizengoff in the ceremonial naming of a street in his name in Tel Aviv, as a sign of affiliation with the new ruler. Now it is possible to return from exile, to continue the development of the neighborhood. In commemoration to Dizengoff for his work, he is chosen as the permanent head of the committee. The 20s, Tel Aviv becomes a city. The consulate runs the life of the city with Dizengoff as its leader. In 1924, he's elected the first mayor. In his time, the city expands, and new economy and trade centers are built. Waves of immigration bring in tens of thousands of new immigrants. The building rush grows stronger. The city graduates from one-story houses to 3 stories, merging the styles of East and West. In this way, the Western immigrants assimilate with the new and unfamiliar Eastern scenery. A floor is added to the Dizengoff house. Inside, public activities are expanding. Through its gates enter the heads of the local and world Jewish leadership and high officers of the British Mandate. Winston Churchill, Albert Einstein, Chaim Nachman Bialik, accompanied by other writers and intellectuals, proof that the city is the center of art and culture in the country. Shlonsky on the beach, one of the many artists and virtuosos of Tel Aviv. Nachum Gutmann paints on canvas the beginnings of Tel Aviv. The art of theater is blooming, even the first opera house by Gulbenkian. Hebrew theaters, Ha'ohel, Hamatate, Habima. The legendary Hannah Rovina expresses in her carriage the considerable importance placed upon the stage. A personal tragedy. In the year 1930, Dizengoff's beloved wife Tzina, who worked beside him all during their years together, dies. How will he overcome his pain? By realizing another dream of the city's development. For many years, he has wanted to build the city a museum, a monument to the highest aspirations of man. Now is the time to donate his own home to that end. No longer a private home, but the home of artists of the land of Israel and the world. The museum opens in 1932. 4 years later, the work is completed by the architect Carl Rubin. On the outside, a new front and wide stairs. On the ground floor, a concert and exhibition hall. On the second floor, more exhibition halls. Opening the museum in 1936, a celebration ceremony sponsored by the British High Commissioner. A great day for the city and Mayor Dizengoff in his final gift to its citizens. In this year, Dizengoff participates in several grand and important events. The famous Purim Parade, the Ad Lo Yada, a creative, multicolored event which symbolizes the development of the settlements and Tel Aviv. The first international Maccabea takes place. Jewish athletes gather from around the world. Many of them will be later exterminated in the Holocaust. The Eastern Fair is open, presenting the country's finest products. In 1936, in the presence of Mayor Dizengoff, the first Hebrew port is inaugurated in Tel Aviv. Another of his dreams realized.
מהווים עיר, כי אם כונות תושביה, הלשון, אהבה לעבודה ויצירה, השוויון, החופש, אמונה בכוחות עצמנו, והרצון לחיות חיים של כבוד ושל עמידה ברשות עצמנו. שמרו על האידיאלים היהודיים שלנו, כי בהם תלוי קיום עירנו. יחי היהוס היהודי, חי העיר תל אביב.
6 months after the opening of the art museum in his house, Mayor Dizengoff dies. In his will, he asks the citizens of his city to take care of what he called his youngest child, the museum. It seems as if Dizengoff's house has diminished in its greatness, but actually history has this house a major role in the coming annals of the State of Israel. 12 ominous years pass. The Jewish settlement rebels against the British Mandate. The Second World War. the Holocaust in Europe, fights and conflict in the land of Israel, the War of Independence, the nation fighting for its future. As Dizengoff said, for freedom, equality, a belief in ourselves, a life of dignity. Years of bereavement and revival. Independence wrought out of agony. The United Nations approves partition. The right to a Jewish state is officially recognized.
United Kingdom, abstain. The United States, yes.
The resolution of the Dutch Committee for Palestine was adopted by 33 votes, 13 against, 10 abstentions.
Friday, Avive, May 14, 1948. The War of Independence is going on for 5 months. Jerusalem under siege. Jewish settlements are under bitter attack by the Arabs. The British High Commissioner leaves Jerusalem, a symbol of the end of the British Mandate. Leaves Jerusalem, a symbol of the end of the British Mandate. A new flag, blue and white, is raised on the pole. Jerusalem is disconnected because of the siege. The temporary government is operating from Tel Aviv. It decides a historic moment has arrived to declare the independence of the State of Israel. Avive Tashach. Dizengoff's house is chosen to hold the declaration ceremony. They are organizing rapidly and thoroughly, fearing an aerial attack. And now, David Ben-Gurion says the long-awaited words.
אנו מכריזים בזאת על הקמת מדינה יהודית בארץ ישראל, היא מדינת ישראל.
He reads in an excited voice and is the first to sign. From a small room close by, Kol Yisrael sends out the broadcast. All the people of Israel join in the emotional singing of Hatikva and the blessings. The next morning, Arab armies invade newborn Israel. This is where you are now. This is the house of Mayor Dizengoff in its latest phase. On top of the dune where he raffled the field to his home in 1909, sits the greatest chapter in the life of the city of Tel Aviv and the grand days of the nation's fight for its independence.